Now, the worst nightmare for any parent, in fact, any human being, is to have a child infected with a deadly virus and not perhaps even realizing that his or her child is unwell. That's become a very real worry with the second wave of the COVID-19 infection in India. Some statistics suggest that as many as 20% of the COVID cases currently active in India are children. What do you do? One, to keep your child safe, and second, to figure out that he or she is infected, and third, then to nurse him or her back to health. Joining us now, Dr. Shishir Paul, Clinical Director and HOD of Pediatrics at the Madhukar Rainbow Children's Hospital. In fact, one of the hospitals where the maximum such cases in Delhi are being treated. Dr. Shishir Paul, first tell me, why is this virus attacking children so viciously? Last time in 2020, we were told that old people, the elderly, those with comorbidities were in danger. This time, it's the children who are in focus.
Yes, this is a fact that this time children has been more affected by the virus and falling sick. Last time when we were seeing so many COVID cases, the peak that occurred last around November, December, January, more adults were sick. Even if children tested positive, they were not sick, except we had seen quite a few cases of what is the multi-inflammatory syndrome, multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, which is a late effect of the COVID. We'll talk about that later. But this time, yes, probably there is some mutation or some change in the virus which is affecting kids more. We are definitely seeing more kids who are sick, symptomatic, requiring hospitalization and treatment, and they have varied presentation, not just cough, cold and chest infections, but there are various presentations like even vomiting, loose motion, diarrhea, even with without respiratory symptoms, and they are presenting, when tested, they are tested positive for COVID.
Dr. Bagai, what is the percentage of children infected right now? If out of 10 patients that you see, how many are children?
Yeah, the last year the figure in children was approximately 9 to 10% worldwide. But this year we've seen pockets which are crossing 20% and indoor transmission in children crossing 35 to 40%. There are certain states in US in given pockets, the percentage is almost reaching 73%. So children have the same viral loads as adults, and the youngest kids are even newborns, which have actually turned out to be positive. So the incidence is definitely on the increase, and there are many immunological and genetic causes why it is happening this year.
What is the youngest child that you have seen infected, Dr. Paul?
Recently, we had a child who actually was getting treatment. The mother was positive, and that child was only 6 days old. That is the youngest we have seen, but there are case reports in small babies also, but then they have not been so sick. They have been admitted with COVID positive.
Does a COVID positive mother automatically transmit it to her child? If she's pregnant, is the child positive on delivery, Dr. Paul?
Not positive on delivery. The vertical transmission is still doubtful, but they do, it can be person to person. If the mother is in close contact and she is infected, she can infect the baby after delivery.
Dr. Bagai, how does one know? If a baby, like Dr. Paul was saying, a child as young as 6 days is positive, how does one determine? Because in a adult, you can say, okay, I have loss of sense of smell or taste, etc. Babies can't tell you that. So how do you know?
Very true. So in terms of symptomology, a vast majority of children are still asymptomatic carriers. So if any one of the parents or household contacts is positive, I think the entire family, including the children, should be screened. Having said that, the normal presentation of children is no longer just respiratory. It's a lot of loose motions, vomiting, conjunctivitis, abdominal gripes, vasculitis, that is skin rashes, ringing in the ears, chronic headaches. Chronic means more than few days of headaches. So the symptoms are very varied. So as long as your high index of suspicion is there and there is a household contact, if a child has fever, we must screen for COVID in pediatrics henceforth.
And how does one treat children, Dr. Paul? Because the usual medication is basically for fever, etc. But what adults take, things like Dolo, paracetamol, children can't even take that. So is it more difficult to treat COVID in children, especially babies?
Well, fortunately, we are generally managing them with paracetamol, what you call Dolo, that is paracetamol. If there is fever, we give paracetamol. They have to be kept well hydrated, and treatment is by and large symptomatic. The major of these antibiotics and antiviral drugs which are used in adults are not being used in children. But they do very well with this, except for few who become very sick. They may require ventilation, etc. But the symptomatic treatment is the mainstay of treatment, and supportive treatment, giving oxygen if required, paracetamol for fever, IV fluids orally if they are able to take orally, and if they are sick, then IV fluids and monitoring them. That is the mainstay of treatment.
Now, Dr. Bagai, the two things that are supposed to keep you safe from infection, one is of course masking, and second is vaccination. Either of these won't be available, at least to a baby. Then how does a parent keep his or her baby safe from the virus?
Very interesting question. It's good you asked. So beyond the age group of 2, I think the children, especially if they're going out, not during the lockdown now, but otherwise to an area which is not in their sanitized bubble as a bio bubble, I think mask is important. Obviously, children at the present moment have not been licensed for the vaccination program. Although both the mRNA vaccines, Pfizer and the Moderna, the studies are already in vogue. There are already almost 11,000 children who've already been tested, and they've shown fantastic efficacy with no serious side effects. Even up to the age group of 6 months, they are testing. But the main reasons why children actually earlier, last year, were not so much predisposed, and this year they are being predisposed is that there's a lot of interplay between two kinds of proteins. One is interferon and the second is interleukins. What was protective last year is no longer protecting the kids this year. And it's primarily because of the mutant strains, which is actually very widely spread now in India. So I would largely contribute it to the mutant strains because the genetic makeup and the structure of the mutant viruses is behaving entirely differently. One, because of the neutralizing antibodies becoming less effective towards them. And two, they disable and they disengage the immune system of the children and they make them more vulnerable.
And finally, I want to ask you, Dr. Paul, it's a horrible, horrible question to ask, but it's better to be safe and to be prepared and to know than to be sorry. Because children are just so fragile, especially babies, infants, is this virus more likely to prove deadly for them? Are there any cases that you've heard where there have been infant fatalities?
Well, fortunately, they have been sick, but not bad enough to go in for intensive care, etc., except for few. And we have been able to save them. Some of them are on intensive care treatment. Few fatalities will definitely occur and must have occurred also. But fortunately, it is not as bad as in adults who present with so much of respiratory problems, oxygen deficiency, etc. I hope and I can only pray that things will be there and not deteriorate. Because if such a situation comes in children, I agree, they are fragile, they'll have much less resistant to the disease. I mean, they will not be able to tolerate so well. But fortunately, so far, they have been sick, but not so sick so as to go in for so much of intensive care. And I hope and pray it remains like that.
Okay, final question, and this perhaps is going to be of most interest to all parents. Dr. Bagai, what are the most common symptoms you have seen in children who are infected, which have been an absolute giveaway? That should set the bell ringing for parents.
I think the most important symptom is presented by the mother, and the mother actually knows best. So when a child is not feeling herself or himself, the mother knows. So the most important thing is the baby goes off feeding. You may not document a classical fever, but the body feels warm, loose motions, vomiting. The skin is very clammy, pale. The pulses are slightly on the lower side. The child is more listless, not very active, especially the smaller infants. But elder children in the age group of 3 and 4 and beyond will complain sometimes of earache, headache, body ache, and other symptoms which are not classically as last year of cough and classical fever.
All right. It's unfortunate that we need to have these conversations, but it's equally important that we do. That's how we will stay safe. Thank you very much, both Dr. Bagai and both doctors for having joined me, Dr. Paul and Dr. Bagai. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for your service. Thanks for watching.